Welcome to another episode of Layman's Guide to the World Cup. I'm your host, Henry, and we got a group for you today. So we use this term when we talk about the World Cup or any round-robin tournament in soccer, and we call it the group of death. In this World Cup, there are two groups that I would argue are the group of death, and this is the first one, which is Group I. A group of death means that there are a lot of strong teams and anything can happen, and they're exciting for fans because of the level of soccer that's being played. And they're exciting also because the results could go which way. So let's get into it because this is an exciting group. So first off, we have France, which are a favorite to win this World Cup. Why are they a favorite, you may ask? Well, they were in the final of the last World Cup. And not just in the final of the last World Cup. In 2018, they won the World Cup. So, and this is, in 2018, they were a relatively young team. So, this team is kind of still the same team. Except for they're older, they're wiser, they're in their prime. On top of that, France is one of these nations right now, and arguably maybe the strongest with the wealth of talent they have. Like the players that did not make this team that have kind of been around the national team could easily start from a majority of the teams in this World Cup. Like there's an overabundance of talent with this French team. And it's going to be a major factor here at this World Cup is can they make some more magic? Can they keep the strength that is France? And we'll see. They already dominated the World Cup qualifying, so we don't need to talk about that. They made the semis of the last Euros. So really, you just got to take a look at the players. So first and foremost, one of the easy top 5 best players in the world right now, Kylian Mbappe, plays for France. He plays for the French national team. He's an attacker. He can play winger. He can play striker. Whatever is needed of him, he can make happen. And this guy is just so technically gifted. He's been considered consistently Messi and Ronaldo's heir apparent in the world of soccer. So continue, and he just shows up. He's one of those. He's a big game player, and with it being a group of death, a lot of these are going to be big games. So he shows up. He is really good at shredding defenses, and he will show everyone that he's here. But you can't discount another attacker that's on this team, and that's someone that's having a career season with Michael Olise at Bayern Munich. And I think he's at like 56 goal contributions in the calendar year, or from the beginning of last season to now, and that's including like national team. So that's with goals and assists. And Real Madrid want to pay 150 million pounds for him, or euros, and so they want him as well to play with Mbappe. He's this guy that, before he went to Bayern Munich, he was at Crystal Palace, just a mid-table team, and Bayern Munich has really let him flourish. Then in the back, probably after Mbappe, this is probably the most important person on this team, and that is William Saliba, who's arguably in the top 3 best center backs in the world. He just won the Premier League with Arsenal, and this guy is a defensive powerhouse, a general in the back. So if he can make sure that back line is, is just everything set up, good to go, the attackers like Mbappe and Olise can just go out and shred while they don't have to worry about the back. So William Saliba, he can have a great tournament as well, which will be exciting. Then, usually just do 3 teams, but I also want to bring your eyes to one player that I'll be interested to see how much playing time he gets, if he starts, what he can do, and that's Ryan Cherki. Cherki, I think is how it's pronounced. Plays for Man City. He was signed last summer for Man City, And the dude had a breakout season in the Premier League. He just came from Lyon, 21-year-old. Looks like a promising midfielder. And, usually a lot of players have a hard transition into the Premier League in their first season. They don't play to their heights. Usually it takes a second or third season. But, dude, this guy just came in, walked in, and said, I'm part of Man City and I can produce. So, he's only had 7 appearances for this national team. But I'd be curious, really, how much of a factor he can play. He's a very creative player in the middle of the park. And I'm excited what he can do for France. I think he's going to be an interesting player and a player to watch. Even if he doesn't start, but I think coming off the bench, when that midfield needs relief, I think he's going to be one of those players to watch this tournament and see if he can make an impact, be a breakout player on the international stage. Because he just became a breakout player on the club stage. So we'll see if he can do it with this as well. So I think for France, anything but quarterfinals is a failure. If they don't make it to the quarterfinals with this team, it will be a failure. I think they could even think about it like with when I talked about Spain making it to the semis. Their expectation should be that they can make it to the semis. They're one of the 4 teams, I think, that should have expectations we're making it to the finals. That is how talented. I think France and Spain are the 2 most talented, both with their starting 11 and their depth in this tournament. So these are the giants that need to be killed by other teams, but they're going to have a hard time slaying them. So that's going to be France. Now we're going to get into the other people of this group of death. And the first one up is Senegal, which last World Cup they made the round of 16. But I think they've really come into their own before this World Cup. Sadly, at AFCON, there's a lot of controversy. They made it to the final. And there's a lot of corruption around Morocco. Morocco was the host and kind of became these darlings after making their 4th place appearance at the previous World Cup in 22. There was a lot of corruption around the refereeing, and the Senegal players ultimately walked out of the game. So they defaulted and gave the title to Morocco. That's why I still call them, they're the champions of Africa. In my mind, they're appealing for all of it. But Senegal is a very good team. They have a lot of pace, and they're going to be shredding teams. They play a high press, and with a high press, they move fast. They're deeply athletic, and they have a lot of good tools to do it. And they're a very young team. They have both some veterans, but they also have there are a lot of youth with those veterans. So we'll see how that plays out. You have people like Sadio Mane, who's considered one of the greatest wingers to ever play this game. He'll be captaining this ship. Can he help and really solidify this young talent to, do something here? And they also have someone like Khalidou Koulibaly, who plays for Al Hilal. He's a center defender. He hasn't been starting for them lately, but he's a guy that has experience in big games, playing for Chelsea, playing for Napoli. So he has that big game experience. So they can bring him at any time. They play with 3 center backs in the back, just like the United States plays. So they have someone like that to deploy if they need be, to give the experience of all of this. But then they have like Habib Diarra, who is an exciting young talent winger, played for Sunderland, that made this exciting 7th place finish in the Premier League when they were thought to be relegated. They got promoted, then they were thought to be relegated exactly in the next season. But they made a 7th place finish, which was a big deal. So, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. You have a bunch of different players on this team that are young and talented. You have another who will be starting, Crepin Diatta. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he plays for Monaco. He's a center back. and he'll be one of the solid points in the back line. He's one of the, outside of Kalabi, he is probably the center back with the most experience on this team, and that's going to go a far way because a lot of their defenders are really young. So you need that level, because I think we don't think about, we see exciting young talent, all over the place with a lot of teams, but we can't discount how important it is to have older players that can, who have experience and can handle a lot of things. Will also be very helpful for Senegal is, lately it's been coming out, a lot of the European teams are struggling. They're on the struggle bus with this heat and humidity in the United States, and I think that's going to play an important part for Senegal, especially with their lightning speed and athleticism. This is what they're used to, so they'll be able to handle the heat and humidity a lot better. So for them, round of 32. If they make it to, I think they're making it to the round of 32. That's a failure if not. And I think round of 16 is very reasonable. And with the right opponent, quarters. I don't know past that. Past that, it's all up in the air. But I think they are a dark horse team that can cause a lot of damage. And in the right environments, they could really take advantage of teams. They cannot be underestimated. Then we have the weakest team of this group, but it's a solid team, and that's Iraq. This is their second ever World Cup. Last time was 86, and it was the group stage. But since the 2007 AFC Cup, where they won the championship there, they've started to become a reliable force in the region of Asia. I think this expanded World Cup has really helped them get through and be able to show their stuff. So I don't think they should be underestimated. They're a team that plays together as a team. Like I said, that was a characteristic of Asian teams. They really have like this unified systems that work well. So, and the other thing is, this is a young team, a very young team. So, just getting them this World Cup experience will play more towards the next World Cup for this team. It's kind of how the U.S. was in 22. That team needed World Cup experience. We didn't expect much out of them, but they just needed the experience and got over that hump. Now, if they get it, but they do have they have a strong leader out of the back with Jalal Hassan, and he's their goalkeeper. He has over 100 appearances for the Iraqis. So you have someone like that that'll help guide them and lead this team. So we'll see where that goes from there. But the thing is, with just how stacked the first three positions in this team, I don't see them getting out of this group. But if they can take advantage, they're used to the heat and the humidity. Well, not the humidity as much, but definitely the heat. If they take advantage, could they make a third place? I don't know. I think that would be a massive success in this group if they got a third place finish. It would be almost like winning the World Cup for them. But then we go on to my favorite dark horse candidate for the World Cup, and that is Norway. Do not underestimate this Norwegian team. They are mighty impressive. They may be very heavy in the attack, but I think their whole system is set up to make sure that attack is visceral and destructive to teams. Because they haven't made it to the World Cup since 1998, and that was a round of 16 for them. That's the farthest they've ever made. This will be their fourth World Cup as a European team. So, but they're entering this golden generation of talent, and they have two generational talents on this team as well. Probably the best full-on striker in the world, and a deep lying, like a center mid that's easy top 10 best playmakers in the world right now. So you have these two players that are both world class that will be definitely determining what this team does. And World Cup qualifying, that's what I think shows a lot. They were in a group with Italy. They beat Italy pretty well. There's 8 games in the World Cup qualifying for their group. Erling Haaland, who is the player, the best striker in the world right now, scored 16 goals in 8 games for the World Cup qualifying. And that's mighty impressive. And it gets more impressive. So he already scored 16 goals in 8 games. On top of that, the Norwegians had 11 different players score a goal in their World Cup qualifying group. So just had 10 goals on top of Holland's 16 already. And there's a count that Alexander Sorloth scored 6 himself, who's another one of the strikers. And so that keeps on adding up. Like, this team scores as an offensive attack that is mighty impressive. They won the group. They knocked Italy. Italy had to throw into their playoffs, and Italy didn't make it through the playoffs, and that's where Bosnia beat Italy. But this team thrashed Italy. And when I say thrash, it was like 4-0. But still, to destroy what's considered a European powerhouse and make them look like child's play, it's like, this is a team that's exciting. Like, how exciting and fierce this team is that for their pre-World Cup kind of hype stuff, they got all the players to dress up like Vikings and did a photo shoot. They look menacing. So this Norwegian team, I am very high on, and I'm really excited how far they can go. So you have Erling Haaland, like I said, the best striker in the world, plays for Man City, scored the most goals in the Premier League, and he's been doing that for a while. So you have him as an attacking force. I will say this about him, which will be interesting. He may not score a ton of goals for the World Cup. Or at least as much as you think. Because teams are going to try to shut him down. But that's where Norway gets dangerous. Because the other striker, Alexander Sorloth, he will take advantage of that. Everyone's going to overcompensate for Haaland. And Sorloth will take advantage. He plays for Atletico Madrid in the La Liga, in the Spanish league. So they have these attacking options that can take advantage of everyone trying to mark Haaland. And then, what about these guys over here? And they take advantage. That's a lot how, because like for Manchester City, he could probably have double the tally of goals he scores in a season. But everyone marks him so much. And that's why you see other players on Manchester City's team score a lot of goals, is because defense overcompensates with Haaland, which is kind of his role, kind of being the scapegoat decoy in a lot of attack systems, because people know how deadly it is. They overcompensate, then they mess up where they got to go overcompensate, and then he breaks through, and that's how he scores. And that's kind of how this Norway will be playing a similar way with him. So it's really about which team can ultimately, nullify all their attack. And you have Martin Odegaard, who just won the Premier League with Arsenal and played in the Champions League final. He's their captain over at Arsenal, and he's captain of this team. He'll be pulling a lot of the strings in the midfield with the playmaking. So he will definitely, if you can stop him in the passing lanes, then it'll be hard for Norway to get the attack. So they just have this monster of an attack, and if you can take it down, then potentially that's where your team can come in and take advantage. Now, round of 16, any less of that is a failure. But I could see them going all the way to the semifinals with the right opponents and the right advantage. I think it's going to be hard for them. Is actually the heat and humidity will be another opponent for them. They're Norwegian. They are they are very light skinned. They are very white and pale. So can they hold up? Like what's been interesting is watching all the photos. Basically, their coach is making them do some sunbathing so they can get used to the heat in practice. That's crazy, right? So they're all getting tan. Some of them may get burned because of it, but it's a risk they're trying to take so that they can, do well out here. So I think that'll be a major factor with them. Can they perform in this weather as well? So at least round of 16. How far they go, I don't know. I even see them going all the way to the final. If they are really full gears ahead, the weather's not affecting them, Holland's on full course, they can be just this destructive team making it through. So I hope you can see this kind of group of, why we call this the group of death. You have France, who is just that good, and then you have two deadly attacking teams with Norway and Senegal. And it's really hard to say who's going to get first, who's going to get second, and who's going to get third, with Iraq kind of being the punching bag in this group. But I wouldn't put it past them that they're not going to be run over as hard as you may think. I think they'll be able to be a difficult opponent. I don't think they're going to pick up much in the way of points. But they could pick off a draw or something with the team. That could hinder one of these other teams in their placement. Get a draw against France, and France gets a draw against Norway, but Norway beats Senegal and Iraq, and then all of a sudden they're in first place, and now France has to play, a different opponent now, maybe a harder opponent. So, they can be destructive in this group. So this is going to be a very interesting group to watch with a lot of good soccer. I'm actually, probably the game I'm most excited in this group is actually Norway-Senegal. So two hyper-attacking teams. Is it just going to be a goal fest, or are they just going to nullify themselves during the whole game? So we'll see. This is an exciting spot. So with that, I've been Henry, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode. Bye.